what I want is, to be able to have freedom in my life and not be chained down to a 9-to-5 or a boss or a capped out wage. If that's really what you want, of course it can be done. Absolutely. Go for it and you can do it.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I'm Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your podcast host. Today we have, as I always say, my favorite segments, and this month in particular, I think my favoriteest of favorite, in their words segments, where we are speaking to FranCoach clients who have become franchise owners. We're going to hear all about their background, what led them to looking at franchises, how this process went, what franchise they own, how it's gone so far, all of those things. And because we're still just finishing up March is focused on women in franchising. And so we've done a couple with just rock star, badass women that have been in franchising for a long time, but also two brand spanking new franchise owners. And being able to share their story is super cool. So this one in particular is amazing to hear her journey to this point. So that's coming up in a second. First, a quick reminder of who we are. FranCoach is a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals like yourself who might be interested in owning a franchise. Our number one goal is to help properly educate you on all things franchising to help you determine if you should own a franchise. If so, what's the best one for you? We're partnered with over 600 franchises, pushing 75 industries at this point. It's getting a little crazy. We're going to help you figure out if you should, then help you find the absolute best one to own. That's what we're doing, but that's enough of us. Let's get to our super cool guest today. We are back with our guest, and I am super excited for this one because just a fantastic story to share. Plus, she's scared to death to be on the podcast. So that's the added bonus. So please welcome Danielle Champeau. Danielle, how are you?
Great. Doing well, Tim. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today. I am you are kind of wrapping up you're the anchor leg on the March Women in Franchising. And we've had a couple fantastic superstar rock stars and franchises that have been around for a long, long time, but it's also super cool to have a couple brand spanking new ones. And I know you're going to be like big old rock star doing this. So thanks for joining us and tell us a little bit give us the Danielle scoop. This is an easy one to start with. So give us kind of a little of your journey and how take us up to kind of how we got connected way back in the day.
Well, prior to the last 10 years, I was without children and doing my own thing. I had my degree in criminal justice. I did a lot of work in the mental health field. And again, long story short, babies came along and
Those damn children, man.
Yes. I was very blessed and very fortunate to be able to be a stay-at-home mom for the last 10 years. And now that my kiddos are getting older and not that they need me less, but they're not infants, toddlers anymore. And I have a never-ending 9 million thing to-do list, and it's boring. So it was time for me to get back to work. And I didn't want to go back into criminal justice. Was just kind of phased out of that. And mental health is still a real passion of mine, but due to my location, it would require a lot of commuting, which doesn't work for me as a single mom. And so I thought, well, what else could I do? And nursing came to me, and because I already have a degree, I would have been able to go through an accelerated 1-year BSN program, and was like, all right, I'm going for it. And in that process, that's when we met. But right before that, a friend of mine who had previously been working with you, learning about franchising, we hadn't spoken in a while. And then I told him what I was up to and back to school. And he was like, what? Why would you do that? And of course, I gave him all the whys. And he said, well, how about I give you some of my whys and hear me out? And so he told me all about franchising, which, to start, I was like, what's that? Like the Jamba Juice or something?
Right.
Yeah. And so, I thought, what the hell? I'll give it a shot and talk to this guy that is so awesome, and no obligations, just, see if it's a fit. And that's when we got connected, and you did your whole kind of intake on me and what kind of business platform would interest me, would I be successful at, all of those things. And then you came back to me with the 3 franchises.
Yes. Do you remember back to like as we went through that? Do you happen to remember, like, okay, these are the brands, and if I scroll back through like 50 pages of notes on my iPad here for us, we did 3. Do you remember, like, kind of your feeling, like, oh, like, I'm excited about this. Tim's lost his mind on that one. Can you think back to what that was like?
Before I heard the 3 or after?
Like, yeah, once we did it, right? And you're like, okay, those are the 3. And you're like, oh, this is good, bad, ugly. What went through your mind?
So I had a pretty even order of 1, 2, 3. And it wasn't backwards, though, the order that you presented them. It was the mobile pet grooming was first. And then it was the Hawaiian Fluid Art Studio. And then last but not least, the Senior Helpers in Home Care franchise. And I think you did a great job assessing me. You kind of found my interests and things about me that would work with each of those different franchises. But right off the bat, I knew pet grooming, not so much. I don't want to have a van going around, and I love animals and all of that, but I don't have a passion or a real interest. The Hawaiian Fluid Art was super cool, and I was really, really interested in that. Just because how nice, to step into a new career, art, and a fun, bubbly atmosphere, and nothing serious or, and then with the Senior Helpers, that I already knew by the end of our call, like that was the one. And that a lot of that was because I was in going into nursing, and what I wanted to do was specialize in end of life care. And there was a franchise we talked about, something like that, but I'm actually glad you steered me kind of away from that and into the home care, which so far I'm just loving. So,
yeah.
And one thing I will say, after meeting so many of the team members from Senior Helpers, something that you really emphasized in our many talks was that you wanted to make sure, because what it sounded like to you was that I wanted to do something with meaning, and where the interpersonal relationships, whether it's with clients or with coworkers or with, an entire business team, that family feel, or that tight knit, kind of community and that sort of vibe. And with meaning, I want to do something with purpose and that I feel good about at the end of the day, and where I get to contribute and give back. And this was a wonderful way to do that. And you nailed it. And so far, that is exactly what I have felt. I have had the warmest welcome. Every conversation with every individual I've had, from Annie, I forget what her specific title was, to operations manager, to, just so warm and kind and caring. And I really just feel like I fit right in to this little family. So
which is awesome. And it's such a big part of this journey is that overall connection people have with the franchise. And you're actually a little like in the minority of when we did the kind of the reveal of the brands. Senior Helpers was the one you liked the most, and that's the one you ended up owning. And that, like, more times than not, that's not what happens. It oftentimes gets really kind of reversed and goes all over the place, but it's pretty consistent throughout. But as you were going through the journey and you were learning, like, we don't really know until we get all the way to the end. You had a couple things that popped up, just life things, that's not the least of which was finishing your semester of school. But how did you manage to keep focused and keep on task with everything, with juggling, I don't know, 19 different things and like 2 or 3 little kind of emergency things popped up along the way? How did you keep that focus and that discipline to keep moving forward?
Had a lot of practice. My life has been a never ending series of all that you just described. And so, I work well under stress. I'm become a professional juggler. And it takes a lot to get me down or steer me away or cause me to give up. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's my kids that are my driving force. And though I had so many positive markers for nursing and going that route, what interested me more with the franchise is, being able to own my own business and continue to live my life in such a way that allows me to be that present parent and mother in my daughter's lives, and have that freedom and flexibility within my schedule and their schedules with school and activities and such. And I love that this is a business that I can also be very hands-on with, but I can step away or step back with all my people in place, for things to keep running. And that's kind of what Josh, my friend who had already met with you, was sharing so much about is, why do you want a 9 to 5 and to clock in somewhere and got to request days off for vacation and, you're capped out at a certain amount of money and all this stuff. And it's like, you're right. So tell me more. What do I do? So, here we are with that. But yes, I did have a lot of crazy things happen in the last 6 months, but I just tack it on to the rest of the craziness of my life and just keep pushing forward.
Hey folks, would you be interested in owning a franchise that has been cooking up something special since 1941? A brand with nearly 1,000 locations around the globe, yet still tons of opportunity for expansion. A brand that, despite its size and age, is still a family-run business with strong values. If so, I got one for you. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. Dickey's is a fast casual franchise that is different from everyone else in that space, as it is less about fast or casual and more about amazing food and a great customer experience. With a smaller footprint and easier build out than most food concepts, Dickey's has an affordable investment, so it is a fantastic option for someone who loves great food, wants a business with a family feel, a well-known name brand, and tons of support. If this sounds like what you've been looking for, then go to dickeys.com to learn more and get cooking on your better tomorrow. Well, but I think it goes back to, one of the first things we talk about with folks as we start to build this out is like, okay, why are we looking at this? And I think anything in life, if we want to make a change, and this is a fundamental change in your existence, is like, why are we doing this? Right? Oh, I want to go, lose weight. Why? Right? I want to go do this. You had that why. And again, for you, it's the kids. And, which you have 2. How old are they again?
7 and 10.
7 and 10.
Actually, no, I'm my bad. My little one just had a birthday. She was so sick for it though. Sadly, 8 and 10.
8 and 10. And let's give them their little time on of fame. Their names are
Maddie and Raven.
Maddie, and Raven. See, so they're now famous as well. So when you have that and those drivers, it really does help, right? And kind of again, when you're doing that all for them, right, is key. We talked about this when I first started this business. It was kind of the same thing. Like mine was itty bitty. He was like maybe 2. As I was really getting this going and co-parenting, and I still have a thing over on my wall that's like just me writing the letters THTW, which is this has to work, right? Because at the beginning it was like I had hair, and then I started like yanking it out in clumps. But it was that motivation. This has to work because it's gonna be hard. There's gonna be things that are gonna go wrong, but you've shown even throughout this process. And I can usually tell how people are going to be as a franchise owner, how they are in this process. I'd love to be able to go back really one by one to like several hundred people to do a case study of how that goes. But you follow the process. Things went wrong. You're like, okay, like I'm going to continue on and be able to find a way to kind of figure things out and keep going. So kudos to you for that. Like,
Thank you.
Those aren't the last things to go wrong as your journey as a franchise owner. Talk a little bit about the team at Senior Helpers. You mentioned this a little bit, but you are, as you talked about, like you went back to school recently, which is no easy feat to go back to school after time away. But you've been in full-time mom mode, which is like 7, 8 full-time jobs, right? All the things that you're doing, right?
Right.
But it's not the traditional thing. So what was it about their team at Senior Helpers that kind of helped give you the confidence that I can and kind of where did that come from that you're like, I can do this. This is for me.
Well, that it started in the very beginning, just learning about franchising and, so to use the example with school, I do really well in school. I am a great student, a straight A student, and I actually love school. And I think we talked about this at some point, but it comes with a syllabus. You know what to expect. You're told what to do. You're going to be tested on it. It's right there in the book. You better read it, figure it out, and learn the stuff. And that's what I'm really good at. So if it were me to be coming up with this business on my own, I wouldn't know where to start, where to begin. Nothing would change my heart or my passion for this work. But I mean, even just in the little bit I've begun the process, just state licensing and insurance and employee handbooks and all this stuff, like I still don't know very much about any of this, but
right.
I can learn it. It can be learned. And once I have the information and the knowledge and can use it, then I'm on fire. I got this. And so when I started all those introduction calls with Annie, oh my gosh, it was so thorough. Every page, every bullet point or whatever she pulled up on the computer, every single slide that I saw, it was so full and so complete, so thorough. And when she'd ask at the end, do you have any questions? Like, no, I'd have to think about it for a minute, but wow, it's so thorough. And that kind of happened through the whole course of like, I don't really have, this all makes so much sense. It makes sense. And just follow the instructions, follow the plan, and learn as I go. And so that took a lot of the fear or worry or self-doubt, like, oh, can I really do this? And I have like 75 hands here to hold, through this process.
Right.
And if I need help here, I have a number, I have an email, and every single person I've talked to, I do feel like we're doing business, but it's so personal, to have just this personal interaction where, kind of like eventually we became of just, we can now have casual conversation and talk about this stuff too. And so I still don't, I mean, I take that back. I was going to say I don't have any questions. I now have a million questions.
Right, right. But it transitions where I think it's so natural where it transitions into you're asking questions and you're learning things to determine if you should do it. And then your questions turn into how do I do it? Right. Yeah. And so then that's when you found the right thing. And it really, like, people think I'm crazy when I say, like, you won't make a big decision at the end. You're just going to get there and go, yeah, this is it. Let's go. And that kind of happened for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and I love your comment about the school, because it's the number one thing every franchise is going to say, like, oh, what are you looking for in a franchise owner? Will you follow a plan, right? Are you going to put forth effort? And so many times owning a franchise is like being in school, right? So you have the right to pay your tuition and not show up for a class, not do any homework, not take a test, and flunk every last thing. You have the right to do that. Is that the smartest thing to do in the world with your money? No, but you can do that. You can do the bare minimum, right? The old C's get degrees. I'll find the box in the garage with my undergrad transcripts and brush them off and prove C's get degrees, right?
Yeah.
But and again, same thing as a franchise owner. If you want to I'm going to be a franchise owner, but I'm not going to do anything and it's going to fail miserably. Okay. You have that right, and no amount of support from a franchise is going to make you follow the plan and do the work. Same thing. If you want to be average, you can be average. But if you want to be a straight A student, right, like you've always been, it's the same thing. You're going to follow the plan. You're going to put forth the effort. You're going to do all of the things. So I always like that school analogy, and you having just finished that semester of school, like going back to school and then jumping into this, is really like a perfect transition for you. So I love that. So, tell us a little bit so you had, and we've been working together for like just maybe 6, 7, 8 months. I think back like last fall, early or late summer when we got connected, and you didn't really know anything about this. So now there's somebody out there listening. And as I told you before we came on air, there's millions and millions of people that are going to listen to this episode, Danielle. So no pressure, but really it's probably closer to 8. But as somebody's listening to this, gosh, can I do this? Is this for me? What might be some advice you would give for them?
I think if you have that personal drive to want, I guess what I want is, to be able to have freedom in my life, and not be chained down to a 9-to-5 or a boss or a capped out wage. If that's really what you want, of course it can be done. If you have the financial backing, which is probably most people's, struggle in maybe doing things like this, just on a whim, but absolutely go for it. And you can do it 100%. And from the beginning with you to walk someone through the whole steps of what a franchise even is, to have the understanding of that, and then to be so carefully matched with something that, and I don't know how to explain it as eloquently as you, but you said things to me like, don't doubt this particular franchise just because, you have a feeling about it, or maybe you can speak more to that, if you understand what I'm saying. But like, it's not just what it looks like, like the pet grooming. What if that was a no hands-on? I just do everything and send people out. Well, then there's the perk. You don't have, I may not want to do the dog grooming, but I may not have to,
Correct.
So learning about each franchise and what your role specifically would be, that's when you decide, do I want to do that? There's people like even yourself has said, and so many people, God, I could never work with old people. Right. It's not my thing. Whereas I heard that and I'm like, there it is.
Right.
That's
Right.
mine.
Right.
And so it's kind of just following what, your own inner calling and knowing what it is that you want. And then when you get to the franchise, I don't know what all the franchises are like, but the one that I'm with, I feel so safe. I feel so supported. I feel so backed. I know that right now I have 9 million questions, but somebody has an answer to each of those questions. And as long as I have that built-in support, and also knowing that they want me to succeed too,
Right.
that they're also working for me to get me launched. How can it not be done?
Right. Then the easy part is, will you follow the plan?
Yep.
Or are you going to put forth the effort? Right. And when you can remember what the why was that started all of this, it really is that easy. Right. And I hate using the word easy because it's not actually easy. It's hard work. Right. And stuff's going to go wrong along the way, but you're doing it for yourself, right? You're doing it for all the right reasons. And you found that thing that's your match. The next person, and again, me, we've had Rob Cantrell from their executive vice president of development. We had Peter Ross, their CEO, on here, and he was even on our Franchising 360 show 6 weeks or so ago. And I love the people. I love what they do. It's the one and only brand that I will use for my own family. Like when we're at that time, you couldn't pay me enough to own Senior Helpers, right? Like I just, I'm too close to being a customer in my lead, right? So it's like sad and depressing, right? So it's not the type of staff that I want because I don't really like people, and so it really is just that individual match, and I'm super excited that we've been able to work together and help you find this and get started. And just the last little thing, we've got Senior Helpers. You are technically north of Sacramento, Grass Valley, that's off the top of my head. Is that right?
Yep.
So North Sacramento, Senior Helpers. Hopefully we're launched this summer. Is that?
I'm not in Sacramento, Grass Valley.
Just north of it.
Oh, I thought you said North Sacramento. I'm sorry. Yes. I'm in between Sacramento and Truckee, Lake Tahoe area.
Yeah.
I have a really large territory, which is awesome. So yeah, it spans several different area codes, counties. So it's going to be exciting.
Yes. Indeed. And hopefully open, depending on licensing, like this summer, maybe in the early fall.
Yep. August, September.
Excellent. Okay. Well, cool. So, for, all of our people living up in that area that need senior care, they will just call Danielle here in a couple months and be well taken care of. So, so Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing a little bit about your story. And I'm just really, I'm honored to be able to kind of spotlight your journey, in general, but especially in the month of March as we are featuring the amazing women in franchising. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks again to Danielle Champeau, brand spanking new owner of Senior Helpers, for joining us today. What an incredibly inspiring story. Hope you thought so too, and hope, as always, this helps enlighten you to some of the amazing possibilities and things that can be achieved in this world of franchising. Want to also remind you, next week, we're back to some dudes. Women get 1 month, but the men get the other. How many other months are there? 11, I think. But no, we got a couple brands we're going to talk about next week on the show. Don't forget our Franchising 360 TV show with myself and my wonderful co-host, Danielle Wright. That is every Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Biz TV. You can also find all the episodes archived on our YouTube channel. The tomorrow night on the TV show, we've got a guest, kind of falling into this power women conversation for the month. Just an absolute amazing founder, CEO of a brand new, super mega cool food franchise called Giggle Waters. So Rachel Fine Wilson will be with us tomorrow on the TV show. Next week, another franchise talking about their brands with you. And again, when you're ready to chat, learn a little bit more yourself, FranCoach.net is where you can find us and our whole team here at FranCoach. There's never any fee for our service. So when you're ready, reach out. Let us help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.